Are the Texans good? Maybe not, but CJ Stroud definitely is. We've seen him get out to a fast start, being probably the biggest reason the Texans have even had a spark of life or offense through the first 5 weeks. He's been lights out thus far, elevating his offense to being legitimately fun to watch and actually good, doing some things that rookie QBs just don't typically show. So we're just going to dive right into the tape and marvel at what has been a sensational start to his career. To start, we have to confirm our priors, which is that he's been just as accurate as advertised, and an even better surgeon from the pocket and within structure. These first few plays I'm going to highlight just really show his comfort within the system and within this offense. And on this one, we're just see a beautiful tight window throw over the middle of the field, deep in route, and what he shows here is just some unbelievable patience and ability to just see the field so perfectly. And what we see here, at its core, this is just a dagger concept, right? Nico Collins running a in route, deep in across the middle of the field. Tank Dell running a clear out right down the middle of the field. Just very simple, bare bones play. And what we see here from CJ Stroud, though, that's so impressive is his ability to really see how this defense, how these linebackers how they're gonna play this. They're gonna play it, and he's able to wait for this third window to come open. This window right here, he's gonna wait for this window to come open because you might think he's gonna hit this window coming right out of the break, but no, he notices that this linebacker's starting to teeter over and he completely blocks out that window. So instead of making this throw, no, he turns that down immediately and he's like, no, that's not gonna work. So you might think, okay, so then what if as he starts to open the ball, open his clutch, you might think, okay, he'll hit this window, right? He'll go right in between these linebackers, zip it right by their heads, hit this window, completion for Nico Collins. No, because again, he sees the body language of this linebacker right here starting to teeter over. He's going to block out that window too. He's going to block out, or I guess, he's going to block out that window right there. So instead what CJ Stroud does is, as you can see with his head a little bit too, his head's kind of looking this way. The linebackers, they both teeter over this way because they think he's going to hit this early window or maybe he's going to hit this window too. But no, CJ Stroud instead just totally messes with them and hits this throw right here as Nico Collins starts to come across the field. He hits this one right here and zips it between this guy and this guy for just an absolutely perfect tight window throw where he just sees the field out perfectly, leads his receiver into the window, and just an absolutely sensational play for a huge gain for Nico Collins right here. This is the last play that I want to highlight before we get into the truly great stuff that I've seen from his tape so far. But even then, this is just an awesome rep as well, where we're going to see some really quick processing here, and it's just a great eye discipline and he does an excellent job at really manipulating the safety on this play too. And what I really love to see is, again, the full field progression. First of all, when he first hits the top of his drop, he's looking straight ahead. He's looking straight through the middle of the field because he wants to make sure that the safeties aren't rotating in any way that are going to later fool him in the coverage. He wants to know what to expect when he gets through his progression. And then he's going to then move over to the field side, and there just isn't anything there, and he pretty quickly recognizes that. And then immediately he snaps back to the backside where Nico Collins is going to be running that deep curl, and he makes this throw immediately. He doesn't hesitate at all the second he sees that window open. But what allows this window to open, and what was so special about this play to me, is that what allows that window to open, because as he's at the top of his drop, what we're going to see, his head is going this way, which his head, his eye discipline, and his eye movement allows this safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick. He sees that, and it holds Minkah Fitzpatrick just for a second and gets Minkah Fitzpatrick to just subtly move over just a little bit. And what that does is that opens up this big window for Nico Collins right here and gives it just enough time to allow CJ Stroud to rip this throw to Nico Collins, and which ends up resulting in a huge play for the Texans. And it's just really great, almost elite stuff that you see from CJ Stroud. Outside of the high level play that I expected, I felt motivated to make this video to point out the specific nuances in his game that have looked completely different and improved from his Ohio State days. There are 3 primary traits that look greatly improved so far, one being his comfort in throwing with anticipation, his pocket presence, and his poise. I consider Stroud's ability to throw with anticipation and see the field a relative strength of his, but I always felt there was a minor lack of comfort and consistency in this trait. He did show growth in his last year, and I did expect improvement, but it's come a lot quicker than I saw coming. In the NFL, we're seeing Stroud consistently test tight windows and throw to his receivers well before they get out of their breaks, and before they scream open. He has looked totally comfortable hitting the top of his drop and playing within structure to just let it rip. CJ Stroud was just killing the Colts with these inbreakers, and it was all because of Stroud's ability to deliver the ball to his receivers on time and in rhythm. And there's a million throws like this on his tape at this point, but Stroud has just been consistently hitting these inbreakers right as his receivers are coming out of their breaks. And he's had the confidence to let it rip without having to see the receivers come open straight across his face. And we're just seeing him way more willing to test tight man coverage than he ever was at Ohio State. And, like I said, there's a million plays like this on his tape. I just happened to pick this one. But what we're going to see, he starts to separate, where he starts to separate the ball. He starts his throwing motion right here. And Nico Collins, man, he hasn't even started his break at all yet. But CJ Stroud, he sees all this open field, and he just delivers an absolute strike to Nico Collins, and ends up being a huge play for the Texans with just some unbelievable anticipation from CJ Stroud. This might be the most impressive throw from CJ Stroud's career so far, because from a quarterback perspective, it's just about perfect. The timing and the accuracy here is unbelievable, and also the anticipation is just, it's special here. Because, look how tight this window is. That's the first thing I want to point out. There's so little separation for CJ Stroud to make this throw. He's got to perfectly fit into Nico Collins' hands right here. And, of course, Nico Collins is going to drop it, so it doesn't even matter. But it's just a perfect throw from CJ Stroud. And let's just see, the main thing I want to highlight here is the anticipation. Because let's just take a look at where he starts to separate his hands. This is where he starts to separate his hands from the ball. And this is where he begins the throwing motion. And let's look at the separation from Nico Collins right here. There's just not much. This is almost perfect coverage from the defender. As we see, it sticks throughout the whole play too, because even when it does hit Nico Collins' hands, he still has no separation. But CJ Stroud knows that Nico Collins is coming right up the seam right here, and there's open field right here. And CJ Stroud does such a nice job perfect job really, at threading the needle into this just impossible window right here. And he also, because of how nice his timing is, he gives this defender no shot to make a play on the ball, because even if he's a second later, the defender could maybe flip his hips and get over here and disrupt the play, but CJ Stroud just doesn't even give him that opportunity. And CJ Stroud just makes a perfect throw to Nico Collins right at the seam. This is another all-around great play from Stroud, where not only does he make an awesome throw, but he sees the field well, and he makes the right read here. He seems to recognize right away, pre-snap, this middle field open look where these safeties are going to start to drift into their deep halves. And he knows he's got this beat here with Dalton Schultz. He's going to come up. He's going to do a little juke move here. And he's just going to come right up the middle of the field where this linebacker has no shot, really. And he lofts an absolute beauty right over the head of the linebacker. Doesn't give the linebacker any chance at stopping the play. Ends up being a 20, 25-yard gain for Dalton Schultz here. Awesome play. This throw ends up being a touchdown. And man, is it a pretty one. It's just a beautiful throw into the breadbasket for Nico Collins. And it really shows off CJ Stroud's excellent touch with the ball as well. And it's a small window, really, because CJ Stroud has to perfectly lead this throw out and away from the defender into the open space. And it's a high difficulty throw, but CJ Stroud still fits it in for a touchdown. And what I just love to see is that he sees, as this ball is flying through the air, with the trajectory, he puts the ball perfectly out and away for Nico Collins, where it gives Nico Collins space to then run under it, and is able to lead it into the space so it gives Nico Collins the best chance he can at making a play on the ball, and he gets it away from the defender and ends up being a touchdown. Great play. I'll group the next two traits together since they go hand in hand, but Stroud has shown much more consistent pocket presence and ability to fill out the rush, all while staying calm under pressure. Not only is he simply feeling pressure better, but he's staying so much more relaxed and confident when the rush gets in. At Ohio State, we often saw erratic play and decision-making when he got pressured, but in the NFL, he has subtly improved in this regard every week, become way more comfortable against the blitz. We saw some of this in his last game against Georgia as well, but the big question was if it was an outlier or a preview, and the early returns say that it was a preview. The most encouraging change I've seen on tape from Stroud is his composure when the blitz comes in, and this play might seem mundane and like a standard quick pass, but it's actually pretty impressive for such a young player, especially considering it was Ohio State tape. As we're going to see a free rusher, number 32, he comes screaming in right off the edge, coming right in for CJ Stroud right here. But instead of panicking, like we often saw at Ohio State, instead of bailing from the pocket, CJ Stroud, he stands tall, stays calm, and he hits his hot routes to Nico Collins and ends up being a huge play. We saw a lot of panicking in this situation at Ohio State, so this is clear improvement and poise. This is a very similar play from earlier in the same game, so we're even seeing in-game adjustments and self-correction from Stroud. It's so impressive to compare this to the play we just looked at and see such clear growth. It's a true commitment to his craft, too, that he's actually willing to sit down and correct his mistakes. And honestly, I haven't even seen much of this type of play, this type of miss on the blitz since this play alone, because it is obvious that he does end up missing the hot route here, because Nico Collins is wide open right here. He's got to stand tall and he's got to hit that throw. But guess what? He starts doing that later in the same game. He fixes his own mistakes. He gets better. He knows how to correct himself. It's so encouraging to see from such a young quarterback. Teams kept trying to blitz him early in the season, but this just sharpened his play. With each game, he's gotten more confident and smoother against the blitz. The pressure isn't as dire here, but it's more about how confident Stroud is on this play. He trusts the structure of the offense and is completely aware of his hot route and knows he has to get the ball out quickly. We're going to see him hit the top of his drop and immediately get this ball out. Right there, he hits the top of his drop there. He knows that all this pressure is coming in. All these guys are coming right up the middle. He doesn't have a lot of time here yet. He's still able to hit Tank Dell right here perfectly. He gets right off the top of his drop, hits the hot route. Bang, big play, avoids the sack. It's just, again, we took a look at that last play. It's clear growth from what we were seeing in just 1 week ago. There isn't much more to say that hasn't already been said, but at this point, it's a risky play call to blitz CJ Stroud. This ends up being a touchdown despite the fact that he has a free runner, number 2, screaming right into his face, but yet he's just completely unfazed, even with number 2 beaming down on him for a huge hit. Doesn't matter. CJ Stroud, unfazed, throws a touchdown. Bang. If you've been on Twitter, I'm sure you've seen this play. It takes everything we just talked about and puts it on full display. And it's plays like these that truly force me into thinking that we have the early signs of a potentially elite, franchise-changing quarterback for the Houston Texans. To start, we're going to see him make his own check at the line. Let me just highlight this right here. We don't know, obviously, what the original play was, but first of all, Bobby Slowick has enough trust in him to make changes at the line, which that in itself, you don't always see that from a rookie quarterback. You know, he's making an audible right here. You don't always see that from a rookie quarterback. He's got trust in the offense has trust in him. He knows what he's doing. He's in full control right here. And then we're going to see him just progress through this play incredibly well, because his initial read is going to be this drift route right here as he's going to come up and start to drift across the middle of the field. But CJ Stroud, this is obviously not going to be open as we have the linebacker dropping into coverage, and he's pretty blanketed as well. CJ Stroud very quickly moves off of that and immediately processes to his next route over here. We're going to see it better from this angle, but what we're going to see here now is very clean pocket movement and very subtle, just smooth pocket awareness to just so subtly move away from this center kind of crashing in on him. He's just going to make such a slight adjustment to move over into the open space. He's going to reset his feet, and then he's going to make the throw. We're going to slow it down and take a look at it from this angle, where you can see the traffic he's in while maintaining composure in the pocket without looking at the rush for even a second. We're going to bring it back to this angle because to cap this whole play off, with someone barreling right down in front of him, he makes an unbelievable anticipatory throw to Robert Woods with a deep out route, and he still is able to make this throw from the opposite hash nonetheless. He's going to arc this ball all the way to here. And guess what? He's releasing this ball right here. Look where he's releasing this ball, and look where Robert Woods is in the break. I mean, this is a really far throw, man, and he still has the confidence to let it rip, and he still knows, and he still gets it there too. The arm strength, the accuracy, the anticipation. It doesn't get much better than this play for CJ Stroud. It just doesn't. I like Stroud as a prospect a lot, but I fully admit I didn't see this type of play or results coming this early, especially on a team that I didn't anticipate to give much help to Stroud at all. He's playing confidently and smartly, completely debunking whatever the S2 test may have told us. He's getting a good amount of help from his play calling with Bobby Slowick, and the receivers are playing well too. But the truth is that CJ Stroud is elevating this offense. He's elevating these receivers, and he's making the most of the structure put around him and what Bobby Slowick is giving him. He's putting on his best performance for a Rookie of the Year campaign so far, and he's on a fast track to finally break the Ohio State quarterback curse.